So before we hit record, we were talking about what we were going to be talking about today.
Right.
And we were circling back on the episode that we did a couple of weeks ago talking about the hidden costs of the 50-hour work week. And it seemed like we had struck a nerve with, quote unquote, our community with the amount of views and shares and comments that that particular episode got. And so we were talking about, like, okay, well, what is it that our fans, our listeners want to hear more of? And the thought that came to me, since you and I have both done this, but also it might be in the back of people's minds if they're sick and tired of working 50-hour work weeks, is whether they should quit their job. And you pivoted and you asked a better question than that, and I think we can tie the two together in this show. You asked, well, what are the skills that you can get out of this industry before you ask that question,
right,
and or make that decision?
Right.
And I thought that was brilliant. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is equipping you guys and perhaps even enlightening you with some of the skills and kill sets that I talk about, because if you really get good at these things, you're going to kill it. And then from there, then you can revisit the question, should I quit? And that's what we're going to try to accomplish here today. So expand on that.
So I'm going to put a little caveat on the beginning, though. QSR is in my blood. I love QSR. It's done a lot for me.
Well, I mean, that's the reason why we titled the show the way that we did.
Right.
It can fast track your dreams.
Yeah, it can. I mean, it has fast tracked my dreams, and it's fast tracked my dreams even when I didn't realize that's what was happening. So I am a big proponent of the QSR industry. I'm a big proponent of that it has a lot to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want this to be, hey, everybody go quit kind of podcast. But I want it to be a realistic look at what things you can learn and develop in QSR. Not just the tangibles, but the intangibles.
Yeah.
And how those things can be carried forward into any career ladder that you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So you've got the tangibles, you've got the food cost, you've got the labor, you've got the P&L management, you've got all of that kind of businessy structure. You can learn how to operate in the business community, and I think a lot of people don't realize that there is structure to business, and there is structure to the way that businesses operate. There is structure how you can communicate in that field, and you'll learn all of that stuff in QSR. But I want to talk about the intangibles, and I want to ask you that, is what do you think some of the intangibles are that you've learned, are learning, or people can learn in the industry?
Well, one thing that you're learning and developing without even being conscious of it is public speaking, because you're in public and you're speaking.
Yep.
And one way that you can sharpen that is to constantly be thinking in stories, as I've talked about before. Facts tell, stories sell. Hey, guys, we need to get our food costs down by 2 points. This period is not very compelling, and it's not going to be very engaging to your team. But if you can relate the information that you're trying to convey to your team into a story, well, then you've got them, right? And that's really what the best public speakers do, is they tell stories. And that's what leaders do, is they're phenomenal speakers, and they're really good storytellers. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a leader who wasn't a really good speaker and or storyteller. You can go across multiple arenas. Ray Lewis, perhaps the greatest middle linebacker of all time. You can just type in Ray Lewis on YouTube, and it's probably going to be him in the middle of a huddle before a Ravens game giving some sort of hype-up speech. Drew Brees was the same way.
Yep.
Numerous political people, whether or not you like him or hate him. Barack Obama, phenomenal public speaker. And the list goes on and on and on. And so that's one thing, one of those intangibles that can become quite tangible if you pay attention to it, is the fact that you are constantly public speaking. And that's something that I would lean into, because I think a lot of people who are really good managers are doing themselves and even their team a disservice because they're not leaning into that piece. There's too much of the hiding behind the group chat and sending long texts and things like that, rather than getting out in front of your people, actually conducting a pre-shift huddle, like actually doing that. That is so rare these days. We rather would just send a group text on the break room app or the WhatsApp, whatever you're using, for the objectives of the day, rather than actually getting out in front of your people before the shift actually begins at 10:58, 2 minutes before lunch starts. Like, get out there and get in front of them and actually say a few words. And here's the thing. At first, you're going to suck, just like you would at any other thing. Doesn't matter if you're playing Halo for the first time, you probably sucked at that. If you start working out, you're going to suck at that. But you need the reps. And I think that's, again, part of the reason why I'm such an advocate of working out, is because that thing bleeds over into the industry as well. Because like I said, I just made an analogy there, right? So that would be one I would use for sure, is public speaking.
Yeah. So I expand more on public speaking, because I think a big thing that you can learn too in the industry. I think people have this misconception of what public speaking is. It's not necessarily standing up in a room in front of 500 people. So bringing it back down a little bit, you're going to develop, or you have to develop, interpersonal skills. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to develop that one-on-one communication, and hopefully, everything we're going to touch on, the interpersonal skills, the public speaking, all of these intangibles are transferable to anywhere in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there's another industry where you are actually forced to communicate as much as you are if you're inside four walls at a fast food concept. Mm-hmm. And so you have to communicate if you're going to be successful, if you're going to run a great shift.
Right. So not just public speaking communication, but interpersonal skill communication, one-on-one communication. How do I relate with that employee that just came in whose mother died 3 days ago or 5 days ago, that they don't know where their next dollar's coming from to buy diapers for the baby? I need to interpersonal. I need to relate. I need to empathize. Mm-hmm. I need to be able to communicate. And all of these things are transferable.
Yeah, I would say that honesty goes a long way.
Right.
And when it comes to communicating, and because sometimes you might not be able to empathize with somebody who just lost their mother. Maybe your mother's still around. Maybe right. You guys have a great relationship. And that's where you lean into the honesty piece of it. Just be like, hey, Johnson, I have no idea mm-hmm. what you're going through right now. I can't even imagine what it would be like if my mom died last night, and yet here you are, washing your hands, ready to put your gloves on and go on the line and do what you need to do. What do you need today?
There's that question again. And I think every single episode we have said, ask your people what they need. Mm-hmm. There's that question again.
So, I mean, this isn't like some sort of, when you're in sales, there's typical word tracks and things that you can lean on to overcome objections, whether it's, I have to think about it, I need to talk to my wife, it's too expensive, whatever, I don't like the product, I don't like you, right? Whatever those things are, if you get good enough at sales, you can sort of, okay, I can see where they're going here, and then boom, I say this because they said that. That's not what this is.
But
that's not what this is. But so that's why I'm saying lean more into the honesty piece of it, because it's like, okay, well, my mom's still alive. This person's mom just died last night. I'm not going to just pull something out of my ass and because this is what Hunter told me to say on Fast Food Fast Track. No, you have to lean into right. the honesty piece of it. Yeah. If your mom isn't dead, you can't empathize with the person who just lost their mom, right? But you can sympathize with them by being honest.
Right. But you briefly said something that you said sales. Mm-hmm. You're going to learn sales in fast food.
Oh, well, yeah, because you're always selling somebody a product, service, or idea.
You're going to learn. You know what you're going to learn? And I think we have a lot of misconceptions especially now, this generation, where you hear the word Karen thrown around a lot, Karen and Kyle or whoever the male is. You're going to learn customer service. You're going to go learn what true customer service is. And it's not, you've heard me say this before, QSR should not be transactional. I know I've talked to people that when you were running 3382, that they would only go to that store because of Hunter and because of the customer service that they received from Hunter, right? That's more than transactional.
Mm-hmm.
Transactional is, I want a sub, I'm going to go into the closest sub shop to me, I'm going to go in, I'm going to say I want this with this and this and this on it, here's my money, see ya.
Yeah, so what David is saying is true customer service is they want you. They just happen to be hungry.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So you're going to, I think that's another intangible that you're going to learn in QSR is what true customer service is. And I think a lot of us think of customer service as just being transactional.
Yeah.
What's another
I think
intangible?
I think one that I certainly have picked up on, and I do not pride myself on, but I think I'm pretty good at it, is seeing through people's poker faces. And you only get that when you're really listening. You only get that when you're really studying and caring for your people. Because if you say something to somebody and you might see just a hint of a wince, maybe crow's feet form at the corners of their eyes when somebody said something, that's a bit of a tell. Okay, what just happened? Did I not say something right? Did that not land correctly? Little things like that, or maybe somebody all of a sudden goes quiet. Okay, what happened? Things like that. And you have to be incredibly sensitive to your surroundings and your people to pick up on that sort of thing. And it's no wonder how exhausting the job can be, because you're in a constant state of assessment as a leader inside the four walls. What's going on with the shift? What's going on with the customers? What's the traffic like right now? What's the energy and the vibe? Are we selling? Is it like a chicken quesadilla day all of a sudden? Okay, well, like we have to pivot in our prep cycles and all of those things. How are my people doing? All of a sudden, like the energy just shifted in here, right? You have to be constantly in that state of assessment, and when you're constantly in that state of assessment, then you pick up on all the little things. Why? Because you're paying attention. And I'm not sure if there's a good word to encapsulate all of that rather than just awareness, right? Because then if you're super aware, well, then that gives you what Tony Robbins calls the greatest superpower of all time. You can anticipate, right? Which is another way of seeing it. There's another way of saying that you can predict the future, right? So if you like, I'm trying to think of an example. So, okay, so here's one. So I've worked with this gal long enough to know that by 1 p.m., once we get out of the big rush and it's starting to die down, all of a sudden she's going to start getting quiet. And she's almost going to completely shut down. And this is not her name. And then I just started making a joke of it over time because I had seen this movie 1,000 times. Oh, okay, Destiny's bored now. I guess I gotta start talking shit to pick her up again. Hey, the guy would get in her face and start making her laugh and all of those things. Like, because when you study and you're aware, then you can literally, it's like, okay, it's about to be 1 o'clock. Destiny's about to go in the shitter, and I gotta pick her back up again, start talking shit, start having some fun, start nudging her and having a good time, balancing between a morgue and a circus, things like that. And then that picks the energy back up, and it's not just such a suck. Because especially when you're at a slower location, you only have 3 or 4 people on the line in the entire store back there. One person's energy can suck the entire energy out of the room, right? And so a little thing like that, when you're starting to study and observe your people, even just as the day parts go on, I think that's a big intangible as well, and that will serve you no matter where you go and what you do. But
so that I would classify that a little bit under the heading of, as a great leader, you're responsible for culture. Becoming responsible for culture is an intangible skill that is highly transferable.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So what other intangible skills? I mean, the tangible ones are, the tangible ones we all know in the QSR industry.
Yeah, they're not
speed of service, throughput.
Yeah, they're not for nothing. Yeah,
right.
you'll understand business.
Right, and you definitely will get a great. Who was it that said? I can't remember. So sorry if I can't give you the shout out. The best MBA you can get is working 2 to 4 years in the QSR industry.
Mm.
And I wish I could remember the quote. I know the quote. I wish I could give credit to the who said it, but it's like it is. I mean, I have found that I'm an autodidactic, so because I like the industry, I try to study everything I can about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the best MBA. The best MBA that you're going to get is working 2 to 4 years in the QSR industry.
Yeah, I think another.
Not taking away from your master's, but.
Oh, well, my master's was in performance enhancement and injury prevention. So I think another one is motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an intangible that shows up tangibly on the metrics, the KPIs,
so motivation. You mean how to motivate others, or how to be self-motivating, or both?
I think both. But let's start with the others as well, because if you can get minors to actually genuinely care about speed of service or throughput or food waste. Is there anything that you can't do as a leader?
Right.
You're getting a 16-year-old kid who has separation anxiety from their frickin' cell phone if they're not attached to it for 5 minutes to actually give a damn about that car on the screen being green for the entirety of their shift.
Mm-hmm.
And then multiplicatively over the course of a 28-day period. Tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you can't do when you're working with an executive on a board of directors who's making $250,000 where they've got some serious extrinsic motivation in dollars and cents to get the job done. This person's making pennies, and you can get them to buy into what the goal is for your restaurant.
I'm working here to put gas in my car because my mom said I had to get a job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
and then they buy. Yeah, I mean that's the greatest. One of the greatest thrills being a leader in QSR is that. And I wanna go off from this a little bit. My oldest daughter, and we were having a conversation a while ago, and she ran one of our units for 4 or 5 years, and we were sitting, and I said, "Hey, what's something? What did you learn running that store?" She used this word, and we were both sitting around trying to figure out what the positive, because the word has. But she said, "You know what, Dad? I learned how to manipulate." She said, "I learned manipulation," and she goes, and that sounds bad because the word manipulation has negative connotations, but I learned manipulation in a good way. And it just hit me now as you were saying that the positive word that you could use for good manipulation is motivation.
Yeah, manipulation means to wield with great power.
Right.
It doesn't always have to be a bad thing.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
but that is a transferable skill,
Yeah.
And it's manipulation isn't getting someone to do something they don't want to do necessarily. Like, oh, I'm going to manipulate this person into killing that person. That's not what we're trying to say. You're getting them to care.
Yeah, because that begs the question. Well, how would you positively manipulate somebody?
Motivate.
Well, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
John 1:38. You find out what it is that they want,
right,
and then you help them get it.
Right.
And if that means by going green on their shift every shift to get a $1 raise or their promotion because they want to get a car or have actual gas money because that is what they have confided in you and saying that it is that they want, well, then that's how you positively manipulate somebody, right? So public speaking,
interpersonal communication.
yeah, a deep sense of interpersonal skills and sensitivity and awareness of your people, motivation. We talked about the business side of it as well. I've given like 2 or 3 in a row. What have you got?
So
I have more, but I want to hear from you. Oh, the other piece that I was going to talk about with motivation on the internal side of it, rather than getting other people to get motivated, you getting motivated. So whether you fell into the industry or perhaps you chose it, and going back to the question that I asked you before we hit record, it's like, hey, do we want to talk about whether you should quit your job? Like when to know, how you should, when, right? All of those things. For me, this industry redeemed me. And I love this industry. I wouldn't have titled the show what I titled it if I didn't absolutely love it, because you can go from outhouse to penthouse very quickly in this industry because the barrier of entry is so low. And I don't say that pejoratively. I mean, you don't need much education to get into this field, and that's part of what makes this industry great. And the motivation for me, and perhaps if you're a leader, is that one of the things that motivated me was truly delegating, truly learning how to delegate, and actually wanting to. So I had been in different business, like I had owned a gym. I had delegated when I owned my gym, but I didn't necessarily want to. And the reason why I think that is because running a few classes a day, and that's really what we ran. I mean, I wasn't there for the morning adult general fitness population classes at my gym. I was there for the middle school group at 4 o'clock. I was there for the second middle school group at 5:30. I was there for the high school group at 7 p.m. Coaching 3 classes a day is not strenuous. Does not take it out of you. In fact, with those age groups, it's so much fun. Why would you actually want to delegate that, right? At least that's where I was. I was in my mid to late 20s at that time. But this work is hard, and you're on your feet for 10 hours a day, 50 hours a week, 100 hours a pay period.
So that's one of my intangibles, is working under pressure.
That was was a big motivator for me to delegate and to get that thing and to get out of the store as soon as possible, get that thing running without me as soon as possible. Because I've said to you before, and this does not mean that I'm averse to hard work. I'm just incredibly lazy. And that's also in my nature. I'm a sprinter. People who see sprinters think of them being maybe erratic or just explosive individuals. It's not really what we are. We're sprint to run fast. You have to. It's not about exerting the most energy. It's about being the most efficient. So that blends over into what I was talking about. My motivation when it comes to delegation was because I wanted to be as efficient as I could in the 20 to 30 hours that I needed to be, so that I could empower the other individuals who needed gas for their car or this, that, and the other, who I then could promote and make their lives better a little bit by getting the hell out of the store. And because I don't want to be there for 50 hours a week. I don't want to. So I'm going to do the things that I need to do and delegate accordingly.
I'm going to put a trite bumper sticker on that. And it's trite, and we hear it all the time, but it's so true. The work smarter, not harder.
It's incredible. That's why it's a saying. It's because it is true. Why more ARLs and franchisees don't adopt that philosophy, I think, is retarded. But you're absolutely correct. Because if you embody that and you believe that and you endorse that, then I think you're going to save a lot of your people from burning out. And then they won't ask the question, well, should I quit my job?
So burning out. So another big intangible that you're going to learn that's transferable is conflict management. Because if you don't think we're bringing a large group of disparate people together in a building to accomplish a goal of hitting KPIs, you don't think there's going to be conflict among those people, you're blowing smoke out your butt. And your job as a QSR leader is conflict management. That's another intangible that you're going to learn that is highly transferable.
I wouldn't say it's the job. I disagree with that.
No, I'm not.
Because I think there are. Can I tell a short story? I had a meeting with a boss of mine once, and we were talking about something that you would have just. I mean, David, if you knew what we were talking about,
would I like it?
You would have just been like. One time when you were talking to me, I think it was when you and I were still with Subway, and you were talking to me once. You're like, Hunter, if you actually knew some of the things that I was thinking, when people tell me something like "you stupid mother effer," like, yeah, you would be thinking one of those thoughts.
Oh, okay.
And so then I just look at my boss and I'm just like, you and I talk about a lot of drama and bullshit. And she looks at me and she goes, well, that's the job. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Right.
It is not the job. You think it's the job because you're a bad leader. But anyways, that aside, I don't think it's management. I think that's part of it.
No.
I think it's more about conflict resolution.
Well, yeah, conflict management, conflict resolution. But what I meant by in the QSR industry, we're bringing together a lot of different type of people, a lot of different type of personalities, because the bar of entry is so low, like you said.
Yeah.
Where if we were all working, let's say, okay, I'm in IT. Everybody that I'm probably working with likes IT, likes computers, likes the job, studied for the job. That's their life path.
Yeah.
So we all kind of have the same mental mindset and thought process. Yeah, there's a little conflict here and there. If I'm in medicine, we're all in medicine. We want to care for patients, blah, 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 blah. There's a commonality. In the QSR, you create that commonality because everybody is so disparate. I've been into a store, and I'm going to talk about kind of the high school clique a little bit. But I've been into a store that, had the nerd, the jock, the pothead, the
goth,
the
trans,
and the person on the fringes of society, all working all together. That these people would have never hung out, been together, socialized together, whatever in their high school. They're all disparate people. They're different.
Right.
Their mindsets are different, their thoughts are different, their wants are different, their needs are different. And we're putting them all together in four walls for 8 hours to accomplish a task. My job, your job as the manager, is that conflict resolution, that conflict management, to get all of these different people to go the same way to accomplish the KPI goals. So you are going to learn, which I think is highly transferable.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to learn conflict management, conflict resolution, where you may not get that as much in other careers. You may get it a little bit, but not as much as you would in QSR.
Yeah, I mean, I start my doctorate tomorrow. Do you think that there's going to be one person in there who doesn't want to get better at organizational development and leadership? Like, I'm gonna have a blast.
Everybody is.
I'm gonna have a blast working
They're
with
all
people.
there to do that.
They're all there to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas what you just said, you got the trans, you got the jock, you got the goth, you got the nerd, you have somebody on the fringe of society. You have to unite them. Right, and we've talked about how to do that both individually and collectively, and that's through one-on-ones and
Right. I mean,
different external motivational pieces. Whether if they go perfect for a period, you getting them a hoodie, you getting them a hat, whatever the case might be. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And one thing I told somebody, I forget who it was, is that this job is not about turning D players into A players. It's getting D players to get A player results.
Right.
And that's,
I mean,
you can do that. I mean, I'm not saying that the two are mutually exclusive. You most definitely can turn a D player into an A player. You most definitely can do that, and that'll make whatever industry you decide to pivot or go into way easier.
Now, you want to get all these people to play together as one unified team.
Yeah.
You know, and bring out their best skill sets. Identify what their skill set is, because every single person in your team, as I'm speaking to the restaurant manager, every single person in your team has a different skill set. Your job then is to identify those skill sets and put it together into a team that accomplishes your KPIs. That's another intangible skill that you're going to learn. There are so many, probably why I love QSR so much. My first job was in QSR, but it wasn't my goal in life to work in QSR.
Mm-hmm.
But I did learn how, as a teenage kid, I learned hard work. I learned a work ethic. I learned people are counting on me. If I don't show up, even at 15, 16 years old, if I don't show up on my scheduled shift, I'm letting a bunch of other people down.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those intangibles you take with you, whether you decide to make QSR your career or not. My advice to anyone in the QSR industry who's like, oh, I had a shitty day, I had this happened to this Karen, and this Karen threw the cash register at me. Happened to me. Someone picked up the cash register, threw it at me, hit me in the chest. But what I say is, give it a couple years, give it 2 years, maybe 4 years. Get as much of those intangible knowledge, the tangible knowledge you're going to learn too, and that's very transferable. Get as much of that intangible stuff, and then say, is this my career?
Yeah.
Do I want to buy in? Do I want this to be my career? Happened to me. I invested into Subway, came on board with Subway, started operating Subways. I did not think that this was going to be my career. I had taken a hiatus from med school and thought, I'm just going to do this for a little bit, get some money. I was married with kids, but I needed, I'll get some money to go back to med school to help us go over that hump.
Yeah.
And you know what? I loved it. And I said, this is my career.
Yeah.
So what I would say is, don't throw in the towel. Oh, I've been here 2 weeks. I've been here a month. I hate this job. Have you gotten everything you can out of it? Have you given everything you can?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about taking, it's about giving too.
Right. One thing that you mentioned, and then I also want to circle back on and talk a little bit more about in terms of some of the intangibles that you get that are highly coveted in today's landscape, I would say, for careers and just just working in general, would be accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You would be accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And because that which you do not hate, you will tolerate. So I see it so much in some of the people that are just really soft and really weak about holding people accountable. Well, then the animals are going to run the zoo. And do you think that's going to be desirable for you? Or for somebody else, if you want to get into a different industry, it's like, oh, okay, this person's, you're just not a leader. You're letting people show up 15 minutes late. You're not holding people accountable because they don't want to work on the line at night. They want to be in the window. I'm sorry, you're one of our best food champions. Glove up, get your ass on the line. Like, what are you doing?
That's an intangible, zoo management.
Yeah, I most certainly would say that, because towards in sometimes, like I was talking to my agent about this just recently. We talk a lot about carrots, you and I, in terms of motivation. Things
Carrots
like
and sticks
it's
and carrots,
okay
yeah.
to wield the stick every now and then. It's you don't. I mean, don't spare the rod, right?
Right. So I hate carrots unless, and this goes back to everything I said. Carrots are important. They are great. They are there to motivate, but don't dangle the carrot if you can't deliver it. That's one thing that really upsets me is that I will see even a manager, but I will see a manager say, you know what, if you do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to make you a manager of that store over there. Well, that's not your function to promote that person to a manager. And so that carrot was kind of a false carrot. You know, but so only dangle the carrots that you can. So back to the promises thing, only promise things that you can deliver. But you could say as a manager, you know what, if you can prove yourself to me, then I will stand up for you with my district manager or with the franchisee. And I will, so this is the carrot I can offer you, is that then when a position becomes available, I'm going to be in your corner pushing for you to become that person.
Right.
You know, but don't say if, then.
Yeah. When one exercise that I had my AGM conduct a little over a month ago, and he and I sat down earlier this week, is I asked him the question, what does success look like to you? Because he didn't know what the answer was when I asked him over a month ago. And one of the things that he had talked about was having the store be good when he's not there. And that's where I was leaning more into the stick side of things. It's okay to hold the stick every now and then. And sometimes holding the stick rather than the carrot is simply just not being available. Just simply not being available. And the example that I gave was a new hire had texted me, and then immediately called me at 8:59 p.m. the night before, which was a Sunday night. I just looked at him. I said, "Do you think I answered that? Like, I'm not in right now, and I'm with my wife. Our son is leaving for college the next day. I'm not answering you." And some people might think that makes me a bad boss or a bad manager because I'm not on call all the time. You're damn right. I'm not on call all the time, right? And sometimes that's stick enough for your people to just, because what you're doing, you're setting boundaries.
No, well,
and your people will respect those boundaries.
You're setting boundaries, but you're also forcing responsibility.
Yeah.
You are again, something I've heard a lot, but it bears so much truth, is as a franchisee with a lot of employees in a lot of stores, and then later on, director of operations with a lot of employees, don't bring me the problem without the solution.
Yeah, no kidding.
I hate that. Or the thing that I really admired the most was, hey, David, just to make you aware, this happened at our store. This is what I did. And I would say, awesome, I'm glad you tried to solve it. That's great. Let's talk. If the solution may not have been great, then it's not like, well, you screwed up there. You should have. It's like, that's great. I'm glad you did that. Let's talk about it. What if you had done this instead of that? That's the coaching side. There's another intangible. You're going to learn how to coach employees so much. You're going to learn how to coach people that you lead. You're going to learn how to teach. You're going to learn how to pour into people. You're going to learn how to invest in people. Those are all intangibles that are transferable.
Yeah, and then if subcategorizing coach, we've talked about it before. you'll be able to categorize people, and then you'll know how to coach them better.
Right.
And what I always use is what's, why's, and how's. The what, you can just tell that person what to do, and then they'll do it. That's probably an employee of the month candidate, right?
Yeah.
And then the whys, they're going to need to know the rationale. So you might need, if you don't know the why, have somebody who does know what the why is, so then you can relay that information. And I say that because too many people, in my opinion, especially if you're a leader inside the store, they feel like they have to know every single thing about everything, and I just don't. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I have had 2 phenomenal AGMs at both of my locations that I was at with the Taco Bell company. They knew all the X's and O's. Why do I need to? Why do I need to? I know enough to be dangerous. You're not going to run a red shift with me, right? So I just had to put that caveat in there. The whys will need to know the rationale behind what it is that they're doing, and then they become a what. And then the how people, and this is where you have to really be sensitive and always assessing the situation, those are the people who need to constantly be affirmed. And so don't get pissed off at them when they ask what you think is a stupid question. That's a cry for, can you please recognize me right now?
Yeah, it can be that, but it's, that the how people. So all of those things are addressed in the beginning. When you're first, you come into a store, you observe for the first couple of weeks. You're not making any changes. You're observing the operation. You're learning your people, those kind of things. But then you're having your one-on-ones and that kind of thing. But then you're going to set a mission for the store and for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And that mission for the store and for yourself needs to answer those 3 questions. The what, the why, and the how.
Yeah, I forget verbatim what the mission of the store at my most recent stop was, but it was I'm going to paraphrase, we will deliver the fastest service in the company, all recognition, and it wasn't like all recognition and accountability will be judged around that, right? Just because it's throughput. It's throughput.
Right. You answer those 3 questions.
Yeah.
In the beginning. And then you say this person's a what, so I'm going to take this mission idea that we talked about in all the one-on-ones, and I'm really going to pound into the what with this person.
Yeah.
This person's the how. So I'm going to take that how out of the mission and really pound in, maybe go over SOPs with them, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Or look, why are they asking the how? Is there a problem with the SOPs? Maybe I better look at my SOPs. Maybe we need to rewrite the SOPs, or maybe we need to clarify the SOPs, or maybe I need to do some training on the SOPs and say, this is, and there are franchises are going to get mad at me about this, but this is the SOP that came down from corporate.
Yeah.
And this is how we do it. But you know what? We can twist this one a little bit. You as a manager are going to learn, you're going to learn all the rules.
Any franchisee listening to that just probably rolled over.
I know. Grave. You're going to learn all the rules as a manager, and you're going to know where you can tweak or break the rule.
Yeah, yeah. You have to know the rule before you break it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn that. That's a transferable skill. You're going to learn that. You're going to learn that at this store. So now I'm an MUM or I'm a district manager. All of my stores have the same SOP. I've told all my managers the SOP.
Yeah.
I know that this SOP needs to be tweaked for this store.
Yep.
Because every single one of our stores are different, right? Every single one of our stores are different. Their customer base is different. Their employee base is different. All of that is different. So I need to know, and this is something that you intuitively gain, which is a transfer. So you're going to learn intuition, I guess. That's a good to something that you're going to learn at QSR. So you have to learn as a manager and as a district manager, you have to learn, this is the SOP. I understand that store A of my 8 stores, 5 stores, 10 stores, whatever, they do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
They're hitting their KPIs.
Yeah. We talked about it, but then one thing that is kind of like what the hell is water? One in terms of a skill that you'll learn. We mentioned it. We didn't really talk more about it. Is sales.
Oh yeah, sales.
You're
big
gonna
time.
learn. You're gonna learn sales because not only selling your product, but you're also going to learn how to sell a service, which is like what David talked about in terms of the customer service piece of it, right? You're going to know how to assumptively sell. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so we're having a beefy firelight today, and then a pack of cinnamon twists. What are we washing it down with? Rather than simply waiting for them to order a drink, which
Or
they might not if they've not been asked the question, right?
Or saying, "You want a drink with that? You want a drink with that?"
Yeah. You want to drink with that? Yeah. What are you washing it down with?
Right.
Medium Baja. All right. Let me ask you a question. Would you want to upgrade to a large for just 10 cents more?
Right. Exactly. You're going to learn sales, but you're also going to learn. I mean, you're a great salesperson, but you're also going to learn the right way to do it. And this.
Oh yeah.
This ties back.
Social agility.
This ties back to the SOPs.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This ties back big time to the SOPs.
Big time.
Because I believe in a script, but I'm not a big believer in you must adhere to the script.
No.
This is the script. Put it in your own words, but also you're going to learn that intuitiveness, that with this customer, this is how I'm going to say it. With that customer over there, this is how I'm going to say the script. If I start saying the same script to every single person, in the line, it's robotic, you're going to lose sales.
But then you're also going to pick up on the customers who don't mind the script being read to, and also the customers who don't want to hear another word.
Oh yeah.
I'll take 3 beefy crunchy tacos. That's it. Thank you. Tell them where to pull up to the second window.
Exactly.
Like do not sit there and ask if they want a drink or sauces or if they want a roundup.
Right.
Shut up. Right? Because then what you're doing, and this is a sales term, is you're trying to sell past the close.
Right.
And that's how you lose a sale. Right?
Right.
The deal is done. Right? Get them to the checkout. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times I've seen in insurance or other when I taught people how to sell when I owned my gym, when the parent or the prospect is ready to move forward, people keep selling, and then they lose the sale because they say something stupid, or they bring up something that then plants an objection in the prospect or parent said that they hadn't even thought of until your dumbass just brought it up. So it's just one of those things. It's like, right? So we talked about customer service, we talked about selling the product itself, right? And then also selling your people on ideas. You're always selling a product or service, an idea, and I'm not going to belabor the point because we talked more about selling the idea to your people vis-a-vis motivation and what it is that they want. And that's how you sell them on the idea of being great at what they do, because it's helping them get what it is that they want, right? So you can put this all under the umbrella of leadership. And if there was a master's in leadership, I spent almost 3 years in this industry. I would say that it's definitely an MBA in leadership.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so there are.
I am a different and much better leader after my time in the industry than before. 100%. 100%.
I mean, so I think there are so many intangibles in this industry that you're going to learn as a manager, and you're going to develop them too. From day one, you're going to start to develop these. There are so many intangibles that you're going to learn in this industry that are transferable. The only thing that I would ask as a lover of the industry, as a leader in the industry, is that you give it time. Give it a couple years and then look at it and say, have I gained all of these intangibles? Have I learned as much as I can take from this business? And then start evaluating, is this my career choice or not? Mm-hmm. The thing that really bothers me are people that have the bad day, have the bad week, and blow up. And, screw this, I'm done, out the door, walk, But the people that have given it some thought, that have given of themselves and have gotten.
Yep.
And have looked at it critically and said, you know what, I've given a lot to this industry. I've given a lot to this industry. And I've gained a lot of knowledge and then evaluate it as their career choice.
Yeah, so then that brings it back to the first question in this episode, one that a lot of people might have been wondering, especially after listening to our 50-hour work week episode. I know there's a lot of people thinking about that regardless, and I know because I've talked many an employee off the ledge in my time who have wanted to storm out of the store that day, right? So when do you know if it's time to quit? And I think David just mentioned it. Have you exhausted all that you can possibly give to the industry? Who have you raised up? Who have you helped see that this industry can redeem them? Who have you helped shepherd go from outhouse to penthouse? Whose lives have you made better? Who have you empowered? Who have you gotten out of the neighborhood called victimhood, right? And then lastly, have you gotten all that you can get out of it? And I think, because then the question, at least that I think a listener would ask David is, well, how do you know when you've gotten all that you can get out of it? Stephen Bartlett interviewed Seth Godin on Diary of a CEO. I was watching a couple days ago, and he being Stephen, the host, had a really good, I guess, framework for determining when you should quit your job. And I'm paraphrasing here, but it was when whatever you're working towards, whatever's on the other side of it, is no longer worth it to you. And I think that's saying what you said it in another way, which is, have you gotten all that you can get out of this industry? And so I think that's a really good yin and yang to sort of filter your thought process through, as far as whether if you're thinking about it. It's like, okay, well, have you given all you can give, and have you gotten all that you can get out of it? And then to also piggyback off of what David said earlier, we are not giving you license to quit your job irresponsibly.
No,
that's not what we're saying. So if you have responsibilities, then saying that you're done today when you don't have another thing to go into, well, that's stupid. that's not what we're saying. Too many people do that, is what we are saying, and we don't want you to do that. Did you have any? You look like you had some thoughts.
So, obviously, as a franchisee and an operator and those kind of things, I hate encouraging people to leave, but if the schedule, the demands, the schedule of QSR conflict with your desired life, it might be time to leave.
If there's hypocrisy amongst the ARLs, if there's broken promises that haven't been kept.
Yeah, I mean, you evaluate culture, you evaluate culture, you evaluate leadership, you evaluate the job as a whole. Don't just look at what's on social media and what's printed on paper and read the employee handbook, because we can all write flowery crap. I can write so much flowery crap about my company and make it sound like the best place in the world to work at. The only way that you can discern that is by working there and evaluating the culture and saying to yourself, is this a culture that I'm willing to work with and through, or not? But if the industry starts conflicting with your desired life, then I would give it a serious pause. I would give it a serious look at.
Oh yeah.
And I don't just mean I had a bad day or I had a bad week, or in my case, there are times where we had bad years. Oh, my KPIs are crap, or my P&L looks like crap, or those kind of things. I mean, in general, the restaurant manager, the district manager, senior district manager, is this conflicting with my desired life?
Is it going against your values?
Right. Or is it helping me get to my desired life?
Mm-hmm.
So answer those two questions.
Right.
Is it conflicting with the desired life that I want? Or is it helping me get to the desired life that I want?
And I think you can only have that. Like what David has told me is that I don't believe that a manager is fully trained until at least a year in position. We're not talking about necessarily you being in position. We're talking about you maturing as a professional in the industry. Give it 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And then you can start having those serious conversations. Because again, if you're not taking some of the things that David and I are talking about, have talked about, will talk about, and you aren't ascending, then you're either doing something terribly wrong, or maybe you're just not in the right place. And then you can start having these conversations. Because again, this job is not hard. You can go from outhouse to penthouse very quickly doing some of the things that we've talked about. But if those things aren't happening, well, then maybe we need to start having those conversations with ourselves and our loved ones, as David's talking about. Is like, is this helping me get where I want to go? Right? Are there things that are impeding my progress? Is there drama in politics getting in the way? Right?
There's more than one QSR brand.
Right.
You know, the brand that you're in right now may not be the brand that you stay at.
Mm-hmm.
You may still say, you know what, I like everything that Hunter and David are throwing down here. I really like that leadership aspect of it. I like that developing people aspect of it. I like that raising people up. I like that I'm a Christian, so I like that this is my ministry field. I feel that this is where God planted me, and this is my ministry. I like that whole aspect of it. Doesn't mean you might be in the wrong brand. There's 100, 200 QSR brands. So you may not leave the industry as a whole. You may leave your brand.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I think there are some brands and some companies who, like, one of my biggest pet peeves about the strength and conditioning industry is, especially with football coaches, who think that football coaches are kind of like fat people, right? Fat people, they don't want to eat healthy. They want to be told what they're eating is healthy, right? The football coaches don't want to change their philosophy when it comes to strength and conditioning. They want to be told what they're doing is great from a strength and conditioning standpoint. So they want feedback, but they don't want to change. There are a lot of companies in this industry who talk about leadership, and we want leaders, and we want change agents and all of these things, culture champions, but they don't want to change. That doesn't mean that that's the industry in general. You might just be in the wrong brand.
Right. You can, and you might not even just it may be the right brand, but the wrong franchisee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, because like I said, I can make my company look so good to you as a future employee on paper that you would be jumping through hoops to come and work for me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So any company can do that. That's my caveat. That's my be aware.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You can only evaluate what the culture actually is versus what it says on paper by working there.
Yep.
So you go into a brand or a franchisee, you know, how many times you've said this, but I've had employees text me so many times, or I've had employees that, wow, David, working here was so different. You know, I went and worked at that Subway, and it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you can only tell culture by working
Right.
in the brand, in that company.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So you get in there, you say, don't necessarily make your decision on leaving the QSR brand or leaving QSR. So this is me and my love of QSR.
That's a great point.
Yeah, you may just not like that franchisee. You may not just fit in the culture of that franchisee.
That's a great point.
Or fit in the culture of that brand.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you don't like that particular, just because you're having a hard time at the Burger King that you're working at, doesn't make Burger King evil. Maybe it's just the franchisee that you're working for sucks. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're a tyrant. Maybe you go to another Burger King under a different franchisee just 2 blocks down, and it's heaven and hamburgers.
Right.
And it's like, oh wow, right? So, yeah, that's a great point.
But I'm also not saying that everybody in the world has to make QSR their career. But I would say everybody from the age of 16 to 18 should work in QSR.
Yeah, I wish my son did.
My kids did.
Yeah, it's
My grandkids will.
it redeemed me. That's again why I titled the name of the show what I did.
Right.
I was not a professional athlete or a published author until I got into this industry,
And
it allowed me to develop myself and my skills to actually be a leader, which is to get the store to run without me. So then I had more time to actually go and do those things that were my dreams. And then, oh my God, they happened, right? So, yeah.
All of my partner's kids, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of his grandkids, both of my daughters, 1, 2, 3 of my sisters.
So what David's
can't
actually saying is that he has ketchup for blood.
Yeah, and I can't remember how many of my nieces and nephews have all worked in QSR. None of them are in QSR now.
Right.
But they all have great careers, and they gained a lot of transferable knowledge into those careers.
Yep.
You know, there are teachers of those people that I just kind of rattled off. Partners in an accounting firm, a vice president, a doctor, or someone just finished. One of those people just got their doctorate in banking field, in running their own operation, their own business. I mean, I can't go on and on and on.
Right.
You know, but they all started in QSR and gained a lot of these intangibles that we're talking about that help them in their career. Yep. I mean, you know, and I know, but you know too, all of the people that have worked for me, or a lot of the people that have worked for me that went on and, you know, they're no longer in the QSR industry, but they gained a lot of great knowledge, and they still reach out to me and say, you know, hey, David, I'm an attorney. Hey, David, I'm a school teacher. Hey, David, I'm this. Hey, David, you know, a lot of that knowledge came from working in our culture.
Right. So to wrap it up, if you're perhaps unhappy, like which you will inevitably be a time or two in this industry, and you're thinking, should I quit my job? I think that you might be asking the wrong question. Think more about how much time have you put in, who have you poured into, who have you given all that you can, and have you gotten all that you can out of it? And if the answers to those questions are, well, I've been here for a couple of months, give it a couple of years.
Yeah. Have I given my all? Have I gotten my all?
And when it comes to the have you given your all, how many people have you gotten promoted? How many people have you affected? How many people whose lives have you made better? Right? I'm not sure if there's a number for that. Only you know if you've expended all that you can in that department. And then when it comes to have you gotten all that you can out of it, right? I think David brought up some great questions to interrogate yourself with. Is what you're working toward, whatever's on the other side of that, is that even worth it? Are you just in the wrong franchisee? Are you in the wrong brand? And then from there, based on where your life is and your values, things have to be in alignment. And then from there, then you can make a better decision if you should quit your job. But we're not obviously just having people turn in their resignation willy-nilly. So hope this episode was enlightening. I sure had a great time doing it. And as David would say, 5-star reviews only. Like the show, share the show. We do read the comments. So if you guys have a topic that you would like David and I to discuss, go ahead and leave it on
Or if
there.
you disagree with us.
Yeah.
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 Hunter likes people to disagree with him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're not here to be agreeable, right? And go to huntershinesky.com, sign up for the newsletter at my Substack, grab a copy of my book, The Way Out of Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery. And that's all I got. You got anything else before we?
No, I think we hit it.
All righty. Well, we'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks so much.